Oh, hi there. So glad you could come. Thank you again for listening to another episode of Yikes, Murder, and Stuff. We have a cool episode for you today about body integrity identity disorder. But before that, I wanted to give a shout out to Justin over at Obscura True Crime for being our first Patreon patron. Thank you so much, Justin. It's pretty cool. And we also want to do a quick promo from our friends over at Our True Crime Podcast. And after that, the show begins. Thanks again for listening. It's been really awesome, the response we've been getting, and we just appreciate every single one of you for listening. It's been absolutely overwhelming. Thank you, and we love you all.
Are your friends tired of hearing you talk about serial killers?
While you're at a dinner party, have you randomly blurted out the odds of being murdered by a complete stranger?
Does Netflix only recommend documentaries on true crime and murder?
If you've answered yes to one or more of these questions,
come over and sit at our friends table.
I'm Cam.
And I'm Jen.
And we are the co-host of Our True Crime Podcast.
And you can listen to us every Wednesday wherever you download your podcasts.
See you on Wednesday. Oh, bye-bye.
Love ya.
In case you can't tell by the name, Yikes, Murder, and Stuff contains themes that are not suited for children. It's also no good for the workplace and probably not your meemaw and your papa either. We're going to talk about some grim subject matter, probably make uncomfortable jokes, and we're definitely going to be cursing. But if that's something you're into, then put your headphones on and hop in our nondescript windowless van and come see the puppies. Okay, after half an hour, yeah, or whatever.
Oh, no, that we actually hit record.
We did. This time is, oh my God, I do not want to forget to do that. So thank you for coming back again to another Yikes, Murder, and Stuff. I'm Jennifer Sandwich.
I'm Lisa Sweatshirt.
And I am Yikes.
You've said it. You've said it. You've said it.
It's happened. You were the stuff. Now you're Yikes. This is Acadia Einstein, folks.
I'm the only one with an exclamation point.
Right, and and it should be that way because you are the sexy one. Let's not forget.
Well, you're the important one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the queen bee. We're going to talk about some stuff today. We're not talking about murder today.
Oh, we're hitting the stuff.
That is correct. We are going to talk about an identity disorder called body integrity identity disorder.
That's a mouthful.
It's BIID. It's called BIID. Sweatshirt's going to call it BIDS.
I have an obsession with calling it the BIDS.
We're going to argue about that a little bit, probably. Actually, we're done. It's BIDS to Lisa, BID to me. Acadia, what do you think? What's your verdict? I'm
going to go with B. That way we can all do it differently.
Well, that's a French pronunciation, I suppose. Well, we're probably wondering, what is BID? In the late 1700s, a French surgeon gets forced at gunpoint to amputate this guy's healthy limb. There's nothing wrong with it.
Excuse me, sir. I do not see why you want me to cut off your leg.
Yes. So an Englishman goes into this French surgeon's office and he's like, cut my leg off.
But why?
Yes.
The leg has been... I can't do an English accent. It's just literally can't do it. I can't do it. I need to hear one. That's the problem. I need to hear it first, and then I can get into it. I'd lived there for a year. Oi. Oi. That's the only English... That's Australian, though.
I know. We're going all over the place. It's going to be Italian.
Shrimp on the bobby.
We can never leave America. We're screwed. Everybody's going to hate us.
We just bone this up every single time.
Excuse me, sir. He's from England, and he goes in there and he holds a gun to the French surgeon's head, and he's just like, take my fucking leg off.
Could you take my leg off, please, sir?
Oh, there we go.
I channel Oliver Twist. Could I have some more?
I am not taking off your leg. It's perfectly fine.
But I got this gun, sir. And I demand that you take my leg off.
It is the late 1700s. Your gun is 4 feet long. I could easily move it to the side.
The French surgeon is like, well, all right. let's do this, I guess. So,
I think the gun got him. Yeah.
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 Well, months later, the Englishman sends the surgeon 250 guineas. Is that a lot? That seems like a lot of money.
I mean,
like-
everything was a lot in the 1700s.
250 of it,
Wonder
too.
how long it took him to save it up.
Yeah, was he
Then
rich?
he has passage to France that he has to pay for. The gun.
Yeah. So he writes this note saying,
Basically, he writes a little thank you note.
yeah, and sends him some money.
Yeah, he sends him a little note. It's kind of like a little thank you. It's got a nice little card. He's like, I'd like to thank you for cutting my leg off. Enclosed is 250 guineas, 200 because I held you at gunpoint, 50 for the surgery itself. Thank you very much. Hashtag Vincent Van Gogh's
Stop
ear.
with the hashtag.
I love hashtags and I don't even know what they do. I really don't even know what they do. I have 19 followers on Twitter and I have no clue what a hashtag is.
You're not using too many hashtags or not enough. So the quote from the letter says the leg had, quote, been an invincible obstacle to his happiness.
Oh, English people are so nice.
I know.
Sounding.
Here's
They sound so proper.
So this was the first documented case of BIID. A lot of people apparently dismiss this as like a perversion, like a sexual thing. This is what when we decided to do this story, this is what I thought it was going to be. And we want to make sure that we're telling everybody we're not making fun of these people because this story came about as something we were going to laugh at. Honestly,
I totally thought when you broached me with this, because typically I do the research, and it's
right.
like when you broached me with this, I thought, I'll watch a couple YouTubes. This is going to be hilarious. We're going to probably comically kind of rip some people apart and look like jackasses. But then I read this, what book was that? The Man Who Wasn't There, Investigations into the Strange New Science of the Self. And my mind was just blown away.
I bought the book. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'd heard of this and I thought it was like, I think there was a movie called Jive where it's like everyone kind of got off on being injured. You know, like it was a sexual thing. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, this is hilarious. Cut my arm off. Jizz all over the place. That's not at all, what this is.
You don't know. Like this guy, the rest of the letter, my leg had been an invincible obstacle to my happiness because I couldn't fuck it while it was still attached to me. And since I brought it back to England, I'm happily ever after. I pickled it and I give it a good Roger in every night.
First fleshlight.
That's right.
It's like what Ed Kemper did with his mom's head.
It's the perfect height.
It works out well.
I drew a little face on it.
Right?
Added a wig.
There's only about maybe 200 people worldwide who suffer from this, and they're mostly white guys, mostly white dudes.
So for some reason from Germany. A lot of them are from Germany.
White people are at it
Because
again.
non-white people have real fucking problems, and white people have to make up fucked up limb problems.
Get this arm off of me. It's perfectly
Oh, I
useful.
run the world. What could possibly be there for me to complain about? I know.
Right?
This dastardly leg of mine.
Everyone who suffers from BIID, they know from childhood that something's not right. And what it is it's basically the idea that one or more of their limbs seems foreign or doesn't belong to them. Like they can't identify as that arm belonging to them or that foot belonging to them. And it's not just feet or legs or hands. They know the exact line where the hand shouldn't be. It's like the brain has mapped that part of their body to not be a part of them.
Okay, well,
So they cut it off.
So they wanted to cut off.
Just to interject.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I now have solved it. I know exactly what the cause of it is, but I will save it. I'm going to save it till the end. Yeah, I'll wait and see if you give me more evidence, but based on hearing one thing, I've solved it because I'm super smart.
Okay, great. Great. Because that you should rule the world because you'd have all the problems.
Is this
That's
where we
right.
use this?
You rule the world from Twitter, goddammit.
That's
Is
right.
this where the saying "no shit" Sherlock comes in? Like you're like the detective. Like you got it.
That's me.
No shit. No shit.
This also happens with, and I don't know if this is a good place or bad place to bring this up, but it happens with not just, fingers and hands and feet and toes and legs and whatever. It also happens with eyesight and with hearing.
And your inner voice, like your inner dialogue.
Yes. But it's very strange. It's actually not Not funny at all, but fascinating as fuck.
So basically what we're saying is when you hear about those people that you think are strange who have cut off their leg, and you're like, why would you do that? That's the people that we're kind of focusing on here.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I hear
Am I allowed?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we keep saying, oh, well, we can't make fun of her or whatever like that.
No, of course. I mean,
we're inappropriate, so we're gonna make fun of people, but
Because I understand that the people on Hoarders have an actual mental problem, but it doesn't make me not scream at the TV, just knock them out like BA on the A-team and clean their whole house, and when they wake up, there's nothing they can do about it.
just throw that dead mouse away. You
Right,
don't have
like,
to
just-
keep it. Why
No,
are you
don't even
keeping it?
tell them. Just go, hey, you want a trip to a movie marathon. And then
look
while they're
over
gone,
here.
burn their fucking house down. And what's going to happen? How much worse could it be?
I don't know. It is really that this is something that people are walking around with every single day.
Well, not
It's
a
part
ton
your
of
body.
people.
Not very many, no, but this is one of those disorders that is so obscure that they hide it. So we don't know if there's only 200 people in the world that have it. It could be more because it's hidden.
they're not a proud people.
Yeah, you don't walk around going, hey, I'm going to take my leg off and everybody look at me because people, there's so many judgments that come along with this, obviously. So it's kind of a hidden thing,
Yeah, we all know the looks you'd get if you said, I don't want my left hand. I'm thinking about cutting it off.
If we met some guy at the bar who's just like, well, I think I'm going to go home and cut my arm off tonight.
I'd be like, put the gin and tonic down, sir. Like, you've had way too much to drink.
Oh, Lisa, we should go to another bar.
Yes. I need to meet a bid.
Right. Yeah.
Like if it's people do, oh, what's your New Year's resolution? To get rid of my cursed knee.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, yeah.
Just your knee? Yep.
What?
I'm fine with my lower leg and my upper leg, but that knee has to go.
There might be somebody out there like that. It's it's a complete possibility. Because neuroscience kind of shows that our sense to body parts is completely malleable, totally malleable.
Mm-hmm.
In 98, there's a study by the Carnegie Mellon University.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video on YouTube. We'll have the link to that so you can look at it. But there's a rubber hand is placed next to a real hand, and there's like a panel in between it. And the subjects can only see the rubber hand, but not the real hand. And so the researchers get two paintbrushes and they kind of stroke both the real hand and the rubber hand at the same time.
I'd kind of be like, just stroke my back, please.
Oh,
It feels so good, and I want to take a nap.
Yeah. When questioned, the subject said that they eventually felt the brush not on their real hand, but they felt it on the rubber hand as though they were fully aware that their real hand was being brushed. The stranger thing is that many of them said they felt like the rubber hand was their own.
It's kind of the opposite of that phantom leg deal. You know, like where you've accidentally lost a limb and you still feel like itching or pain in that limb, even though it's not there.
We also discovered in this, while reading about this, that there's something called a phantom limb, where you feel like you have an extra limb that you don't have.
Yeah, that is so...
That is just bizarre, but that's your brain mapping just a little off kilter. But you got to walk around in life, knowing that you have the limb that isn't there, or knowing that you have
the
a
idea
limb that your brain doesn't know you're supposed to have.
Yeah, and so, like, the idea of this brain map, when I was reading this book, I mean, it's just so interesting. Like, I honestly wanted to, like, smoke weed and read this book over and over again, just to, like, really, like, get into the thought process of it all.
You can do that.
I could, yeah. But, like, the idea of the map is that your brain creates a sense of self, or a map of what it belongs to yourself. And so, like, I think I explained it to you like this. Like, when you're in kindergarten or whatever, and you take your hand, you put it on a piece of paper, and you outline it with a black marker.
Yeah, you make a turkey.
Little turkey. Yeah. So let's say that's a map of a, like, quote-unquote normal person's body. And the map for somebody with BIIDs is, let's say, missing that pinky finger in their map. But if you were to, like, rip that pinky finger off and then tape it back on, the BIIDS person only sees the turkey head of the thumb and the 3 feathers in the middle, but does not recognize that pinky finger. And what they do is they overly obsess about that pinky finger to the point that they just want to cut it off.
Sure. It's not there. It doesn't belong.
But I find it so interesting that your brain actually has functionality that creates this. I mean, obviously you have a sense of self.
Well,
But
sure.
But I have always assumed that was more emotional. This is like neurological.
The rubber hand illusion shows the way we experience our body parts is a complex process that involves constant integration of various senses, visual, tactile, along with sensations from joints, tendons, and muscles that give us an internal sense of the relative position of our body parts.
Yeah.
But is your body really smart or is your body really stupid? Because we could also do an episode on, have you ever stood in a doorway and pushed your arms against the edges of the doorway, and then when you go out of the doorway, your arms go up in the air? Like, your body does all sorts of stupid shit.
It does. And that's kind of a crazy thing to think about how your brain relates to the physical things that your body does. But this is something that is, when people get their limbs cut off, Acadia, they're cured. They're cured.
Yeah.
They don't
sure.
have the feeling anymore, and it's like it goes away. It's not just a treatment, it's a cure. And the cure is cut your leg off.
I mean, on some level, I agree with this because I'm not saying I understand what's going on here, but I can sort of catch a sense of it or a sliver of it because I had a mole on my face and it was fairly big and it had just kind of sprouted up over 2 days, 3 days or whatever.
I liked your mole.
God, if it would have been brown and cute, I might have liked it, but it was flesh colored and just kind of dangled there like a tagwort. I just remember whenever I'd go out or talk to people, I was out, it was like below my lip. And so I'd cover my face when I talked with people and I thought about it constantly.
Yeah.
Like, when am I going to make a doctor's appointment? So I was like putting eucalyptus oil and tea tree oil on it, hoping it would just fizzle up and go away. And when that didn't happen after a month, I, finally just relented and make a doctor's appointment. I go in and they just slice it off. I'm perfect. I don't ever think I think about it now because we're talking about this, but not on a daily basis am I wondering about my mole,
Like, I have things about me that I would like to be removed or
But that's
fixed up or whatever,
dysmorphia.
where it's like, that's essentially what this is, your brain mapping.
But is dysmorphia if you keep going, oh no, geez, my ass is too fat and blah, 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 and everyone else is looking at you going, you're a 48-year-old dad, you don't have an ass, and you're, oh no, my ass is too fat.
No,
and
yeah.
that's just regular dysmorphia, right?
Yeah, I think that's a part of
There's a
like
lot of things
anorexia too. I think is that some of that is body dysmorphia, where you go around thinking, oh my God, I'm so fat, and everybody else is like, please eat a hamburger. Oh my God.
So really, I would sweep those into the same pile because there's a thing wrong with me, parentheses, that isn't actually wrong with me, that I'm going to keep trying to fix, even though everybody around me is like, stop, because it's fine.
Well, in the book, they were kind of explaining like anorexia leans more emotional, an emotional issue. This is straight up neurological.
Wow.
Yeah, so speaking of eating disorders, Mrs. Ack and I were at Hershey Park once, and she had to go to the bathroom, and while she was in there was some teenage girl who was like super obviously making herself throw up, like in one of the stalls, and so she legit followed the girl back to her parents and narked her out to her parents.
Oh my God.
And her parents were like, you said you weren't doing it anymore. And she's like, oh, well, she's lying. She's like, why would she? So it was a big thing.
Yeah, why
But she
would
was
she
like, no,
lie?
I'm not going to.
I just followed a random girl home and told her
Yeah.
parents that she was
She's
puking.
like, yeah. So right in the middle of Hershey Park.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she, like, it really bugged her because she knew that, the girl was making a big mistake and blah, 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 and everything like that. So she knocked her out. Don't try and
Puke.
barf next to Mrs. Ack or you're going to get told on.
She'll throw you under the bus.
It's
Yeah.
super bad for your teeth too, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
So if you want something bad for your teeth and you want to lose weight, don't be bulimic. Do meth.
Yeah, there you go. Because
Perfect.
that's also bad for your teeth, by the way. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
probably-
I'm
okay.
helping.
Okay.
You're giving them options.
That's right.
Neuroscientists has kind of discovered that our brain makes these maps for like everything. Everything we look at, everything we perceive. Like for phantom limbs, the limb is gone, but the map of the limb is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and then that's why you get the sensation of feeling in that limb that is no longer there. So I had read somewhere, I can't remember, I didn't look this up for this show that we're doing now, but I should have. Lisa fail. However,
Hashtag
No.
fail.
hashtag fail, Lisa. I've seen it on a show or I watched it on something where they were saying like I think it was actually MASH. They put a mirror up to where the limb was supposed to be, kind of like giving you the sense like the limb is back. And they say, scratch the arm. And then once the itch goes away, it doesn't come back anymore. I don't remember. There's something to do with mirrors, smoking mirrors, to make you kind of, to demap yourself from not having a leg anymore.
It's
like
magic.
retraining your brain to recognize it's gone.
So we're going to have to put a link to that too, because that's interesting and I would like to read about that. also.
I was now just thinking about what kind of book could I get to figure that all out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't imagine because it sounds kind of similar. Like, my brain has mapped me to not have this limb, and this other guy's like, my brain has mapped me to have this limb I don't have anymore. It's almost like you could put those two people together. You know?
Well,
like, yeah.
maybe there's some donation things going on here.
Right. So the guy with the bids wants the limb taken off. He could go to the other guy who wants his limb back, but
It's kind of like when you have a friend who has super big boobs and you have small boobs.
right.
And then you go to your friend like, God, I wish I had boobs like you. And she's like, no, they hurt my back. You can have some of mine.
Oh, that'd be just great.
And
Yeah.
you're like, great, I'll have some of those.
Excellent. Yeah, we
Do you
both
think
go in
there's
together.
if you took every woman in the world, there's always the right amount. Like, you know how they say if we actually distributed it properly, everybody in the world would be fed?
No.
You know what I mean? Like this, but we don't. Do you think there's enough boob meat to spread around the entire world to make everybody have the boobs they want?
I think that there are some actual cultures that don't give a fuck about that.
Lucky
Well, no,
them.
I know, but
We'd have to.
so
we'd have
then
to
they
think
don't
there is
factor
Western
in.
culture, you know.
I don't think
But
there
I'm
is.
just saying, are there?
No.
You think there's enough people that want less and then enough people to want more that it would eventually all even out?
Ah, that's a good question.
This brought to you by the Boob Job Doctors of America.
All right. Well, I am one of those lucky people who don't have a problem in that area, and I'm glad I've got what I've got, and I don't want anything else.
Yeah, see, I had a boob reduction.
Right.
And Jen and I were on a toot, and we were at a place called Liquor Lyle's. And I brought her into a bathroom, pulled my shirt up, and I said, look at my new boobs. I don't have to wear a bra anymore.
Like, it was great because I wasn't wearing a bra either. And I'm like, oh my God, we wear the same bra size, but we don't have to wear them anymore. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
we're our boobs match now.
Great day. That's what you do on toots.
That's exciting.
It really is. It's, yeah, well, sometimes you got to show each other your boobs for no
Yeah.
reason because, in a bar bathroom because that's,
One
Toots.
that kind of looks like the one from Train Spotting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, where we at? Okay. All right, we're coming back to
Phantom
this
Limbs,
now.
I think, was the last what we started with, and
Yeah.
now we're in Train Spotting bathrooms.
So without the heroin, please.
Yeah.
So the BIID is where the body has developed fully, but the map for the unwanted limb or limbs is broken.
It's compromised. Yep.
Yep. So the right superior parietal lobule.
You say that so much better than I do.
We're gonna call it the SPL. I don't know that I am.
Okay.
I'm glad I
We don't have confirmation on this.
Thanks for your support. Doesn't just go for boobs. But the brain's region for construction of the body maps is in this SPL area. For the people with BIID, that area of the brain is thinner.
Yeah.
And it functions differently.
And
so
that's
it's a
for 100%.
physiological difference. For 100%?
Yeah, for 100% of the people.
Wow. So,
Yep.
you could do an MRI and diagnose it almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That's why I don't understand some of the stuff that's coming up. But
I want to kind of hand this off to you a little bit because there's this body matrix network that I don't completely understand. Peter Brooker? Do you know about this?
I can't remember this anymore. What was it?
It's like the sense that it's a sense of our physical body and the space around it.
Oh, okay. So we all have this, obviously, we've been talking about the sense of self.
You're not talking about like a mental, like I have high self-esteem, because when you say
No,
that,
this is
those
an
words-
emotional. This is a purely neurological sense of what your aura is, and it tends to, like, on a quote unquote normal person, it is the outline of everything that we have, and then maybe some after that, like around you, like you have personal space around you.
Sure.
For instance, like, I'm personally, hypothetically, attached to my right arm. I don't want that to go away. You couldn't, like, if you called me and said, I need you to cut your right arm off, I'd be like, F you. It's my arm. Why are you telling me what to do with my arm?
It's a good arm.
Yeah, it's a good arm.
When people say, I'd give my right arm
They
to
don't
do
mean it.
something, I'll never say that.
No, they don't mean it. No one means it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I don't mean that. No way. It's my arm.
Like,
It's mine.
when you choose to, let's say, pick up a coffee mug, you don't really even think about it. It's just this, you're working off this primal map that just moves the arm over, grabs the mug, puts it up to your lips and drinks it.
Right.
So it's sensations, it's your sense of touch, it's everything that you do and you take for granted in your system.
So I see it goes from the cortical region of the brain that's responsible for motor control that you're talking about, like picking up the coffee mug and bringing it to your lips, which sounds like a great idea right now.
Well, I mean, everything we do during a day, when you take a left step or right step, pick up a coffee mug,
Turn the wheel
eat
to
a biscuit,
go right
drive
or
your
left.
car, tie
Yeah.
your shoes, everything that you do, you're automatically, your brain is computing all this information, and we don't think about it. It's just taken for granted. So people with BIIDs, let's say they don't want their right arm, their brain won't automatically send their right arm and hand over to pick up a coffee mug. It'll send the left one.
Oh my God.
Because
Yeah,
their
so you
sense
have
of self
to-
is different.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
What?
that makes sense now. So it's like, okay, so you're not sending these messages to the arm that you think isn't there in the same manner that you're sending it to the arm that is there. Like
Yeah.
we send it to both of our hands to do different things.
Yeah.
Or however we've become accustomed to using both of our arms, let's say.
Yeah.
But with somebody with BIID who wants their arm gone or who doesn't feel that their
They
arm
don't
is mapped,
recognize it.
they don't recognize it, it doesn't really do as much. And if it does, it's foreign to them. Like it's some sort of weird ghost entity that, like, you
It's
have
a
to,
mole.
like, yeah, you have
Like
to,
my
like,
mole.
force yourself to do things with that arm.
Yeah, because if a lot of the
So,
people,
like-
a lot of people with BIIDs is they'll, like, let's say you want the bottom part of your leg cut off below the knee.
Uh-huh.
Some of them, to relieve anxiety, will put you'll put your bottom part of your leg behind your thigh, and they'll wrap it up with a bandage and put pants on and put the little pins, roll up the pants.
Like if you were going to be in a movie about somebody that only had one leg.
One leg. Yep.
Yeah,
And
so
then
you
they
just
walk
gotta
around with
pretend.
crutches on, just trying to realize what their map is saying in their brain. Because what tends to happen is people with BIIDs obsess about the portion that isn't supposed to be there, like an unhealthy obsession.
Well, I mean, okay, so now if you actually had another arm and it was bothering you all the time, I can imagine you would go to the doctor and say, please get rid of this other arm that's like just coming out of the middle of my chest or whatever.
I'm not using it.
Yeah.
Take it off.
It sucks.
Like
it
when
can't juggle.
When you take in your twin, when people have morphed their twin into their body and they have like a little leg hanging off their back.
Do you guys remember The Dark Backward? That movie from the, like, I think it was like early 90s?
I never saw that.
With Judd Nelson, where he grows an arm out of his back?
I can't believe I haven't. Judd Nelson was so hot.
He was like
Yeah,
super
but he's
nerdy cute in that one too, but
yeah.
He's from Maine, and he is a dickhead.
I would still
God
one night
damn.
stand that guy though.
yeah, that's kind of
I'm
your
not
type
saying,
though.
but
Lisa
definitely
likes to
hit it
tame
and
the
quit it.
dickheads.
Like, don't stick around because he's a jerk.
Oh, I probably would, but that's for
Yeah.
another show.
Well, it's like he's this. It's like a dude. He's like a garbage man, and he starts to get this bump on his back, and he starts growing this arm out of the back of his back, and yeah. So it's just kind of.
So
a
I'm
cult
assuming
movie
the
from-
rest of the movie is about his stress of dealing with this thing he's growing out his back.
Correct,
Because,
sir.
well, that's what these people, it's the manifestation of the emotional turmoil of people having a limb that they don't believe is there.
So the philosopher Thomas Metzinger discusses the sense of self, kind of owning your body and its sensations, various parts of is fundamental to the feeling of kind of your inner self, of being somebody.
Mm-hmm. Again, it was like what I was saying. If you called me and said, cut your leg off, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm attached to my leg. No.
No, it's part of
You
me.
wouldn't say how much?
Okay, might be my second thought.
Right.
Because
That's true.
there are...
I would lead with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I had enough money to get myself a fucking sweet-ass robot leg, goodbye regular
But I
leg.
feel-
I already
feel-
have it planned out for my amputated arm. If I ever lose my arm, I got it planned out. I got to have speakers in it. It's going to have espresso maker. It's going to have all kinds of stuff that's going to make me losing my arm. It's going to be so functional. It's going to be amazing.
See, I
Lisa
feel
knows
like
I've got a robot arm.
I
all
know
planned
you've
out.
had that idea for like 20 years.
Yep, I'm telling you, it
Well,
changes with the times. But
Don't get me wrong. I also want to, like, have a profit on top of it. I'm not saying you can cut off my leg for exactly enough money to buy a fake leg. Like, I got to get something out of it.
But I also
yeah.
feel like that's the responsibility of the person asking you to cut off the leg. Like, I shouldn't have to question how much you're going to give me. You should just be upfront with that. Because otherwise,
Or
I'm going to take Metzinger and say, I'm attached to my leg. It's mine. You can't, what the hell?
that's right. And this
I
is
guess
his book, The Ego Tunnel, that he talks about this in.
Mm-hmm.
all right.
I
Well-
did not read that.
I cut you off, Katie, and I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I cut you off because you were talking about your fancy book.
The fancy book. So it was a fancy book, but well, he's basically talks about everything that we've been talking about here. Is just like your body representation regulates its interaction with the environment, and to maintain the organism in an optimal state of functioning, you gotta know
This is where that... Go ahead.
ownership of body,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Ownership of
it's kind of like, what is that, homeostasis?
sure.
Homostasis? I gotta look the word
Yeah,
up.
that's a homeostasis. Yeah, I know we had to keep looking things up here.
This is the idea, like the body wants to bring itself back to like its equilibrium or its normal or its middle. So if something brings you too much anxiety, you end up obsessing about it. There's two ends of that spectrum that are either very emotional or no emotion whatsoever. And so
like indifference.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah.
Yeah, so your body wants to bring you back to the normal. So if your equilibrium, and if something is off, and you're carrying around extra body part, it obsesses about making it go away.
That makes sense to me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, why wouldn't you obsess about that?
Yeah,
It seems completely natural to obsess over that. It doesn't belong there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's like a study that was conducted. So again, like you had mentioned earlier, the people who have BIIDs have an exact portion on their body where their arm really is, and then where their like mole limb starts. You know, I call it the mole limb because of my mole, because of my mole experience. So the mole limb starts, let's say, and so they
Get this thing off me
yeah,
line.
the get this thing. Yeah, exactly. So Metzinger had done a study where he put an electrode above the line and below the line to read brain waves, and touched both sides of this line and did different things. And what they found is when you did anything to the mole portion of the limb, people's brains lit up because and you would think it would be the opposite.
Right. Like you wouldn't, like there would be less activity on that part of the body.
Correct.
That you don't want on you.
That's what you would
they're
think.
They're trying to like act like it's not there.
They're so hypersensitive for it's like my mole again, back to the mole.
Yeah.
You're so upset that it's there. You can do it. You're hypersensitive. Everybody's eyes are looking at it. Everybody's staring at it when you're talking to me. Oh my God, that guy doesn't think I'm cute because I have this weird thing on my
I have
face.
an arm.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think that is at first, but when you do kind of wrap your brain around it a little bit, it's like, yeah, that would make total fucking sense because this is the thing. This is something dangling off of you that you don't want. So of course you're just like, fuck, I hate this thing, and you ruminate about it.
Yes, rumination.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Yeah, you're ruminating about it nonstop. It's the top of your emotional priority list. You know.
I have a science question.
Sure.
Okay, so say you have like an enemy arm, right?
Okay.
It's always out looking for guns to shoot you with.
Yeah. So if you've decided that your arm is your enemy, yeah, and you need to get rid of it, does that mean that you like don't use it? Or you use it grudgingly? Because I wouldn't waste money with electrodes. I would tie the person's regular arm to them and then throw a baseball at their face. Because then if they use their enemy arm to block the baseball, you'd be like, well, obviously, look, your arm's on your side because it didn't want you to get hit in the face with a baseball.
Oh, that's a good point.
But if you think about it this way, if the map has chosen for that arm not to be there, the map is going to send signals to the right arm more than it sends it to the left arm.
Right, but I'm saying, does your brain's desire to
Protect itself?
not get hit in the face with a baseball extend to, all right, well, I don't like you, enemy arm, but we got to work together just this once.
I think
like
I
having
think
a
so.
shitty lab partner.
I think so.
The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Exactly.
Keep your enemies closer.
Right. I don't like you and you don't like me, but this baseball is coming right now.
In the meantime, because I think the body has to have that discussion with that arm first, that the baseball's probably just going to hit you in the head before it. It's like, fuck this arm.
I guess you'd have to
This
throw
arm
it
is
from like
absolutely
far
no
away.
And it makes you hate your arm even more.
Yeah.
You know?
Now you're
betrayed
building
me.
resentment.
Yeah. Well, that's why they shut down my clinic. Anyway.
Well, we're going to get to my favorite part. I should say my favorite part, but the most intriguing part because, you know.
The funniest part, let's be honest.
I am a very morbid person. I want to know about these things.
This shit's funny.
We're going to talk about how people who suffer with BIID try to get their limbs gone.
Okay, are we gonna, let's all think about what one is our favorite as we're listening, and then we'll talk about it after.
All right, let's
So
take
we're
a
gonna pick our
moment to
fave.
look at all of the favorites here.
As we're discussing, don't say like, this is my favorite. Let's wait to the end and we'll talk about our favorite.
Lisa and I already know our favorites, so Katie,
Yep.
you got to pick yours.
You gotta pick yours, but don't say anything until,
Yeah, look over the notes right now and tell us
not yet.
at the end.
No, part of it is how you guys deliver it. So I'm not reading nothing. I'm waiting
So
to
should
hear.
I try to sell,
Okay.
am I trying to sell you on my favorite?
No, yes.
Do not give him any additional information
Okay.
for him to, he
So I
needs
gotta
to make an
poker face it now.
unbiased opinion.
I gotta poker face it.
My PayPal is acadia@superficialgallery.com.
We're taking bets here.
Yes, exactly.
Well, people with BIID often try to get rid of their unwanted limbs themselves in many different ways.
Good
So
times.
this one dude said that he had tried to inject medical grade alcohol into his leg, and and this is unbiased opinion. This is so the injection would cause his muscles to dry out, and it would destroy the tissues, and he'd have to go into the hospital and say, "I don't know what's going on here." The doctor's like, "Oh,
We can't save the leg.
fuck it, we gotta take it off.
We gotta
So-
amputate."
And that's a way, apparently, that's a way to do that. I don't.
Well, there's two lines
what's
of-
medical grade alcohol, and how do I get some?
Super, what is that, high
think it's the
percentage of
be-
alcohol? I don't
it's-
know, proof?
I think it's the methanol kind.
Okay, so not the
Oh.
drinkable kind. Okay.
Right.
I thought it was like a proof rating, like on a bottle of alcohol. Like,
Yeah, it's
180 proof.
What is it? Wood grain
Oh,
alcohol or whatever?
You dummies with your Everclear. Us doctors are super drunk with our fucking special CDC booze.
That's how smart we are.
Booze. That's hilarious.
So,
No, but there are two lines of thinking on how to get rid of. Like, there's a main line of thinking, which is two lines actually. Either just completely cut the thing off, or get rid of it and, I don't know, bury it in the backyard. I guess I don't know what they do with them afterwards. Or maybe you go to the hospital and you like hold it up. And you're like, I accidentally cut my hand off. Here you go. Just hand it to them. Or what you want to do is destroy the tissue or destroy that limb or whatever you're trying to get rid of, to the point that when you go to the hospital, they'll just get rid of it.
they can't save it. It's like, sorry, we got to get rid of this thing, man. It's necrotic.
Like, son of a bitch.
Oh, that's too bad.
But they can still heal. They can still feel it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then they want it gone so badly that they're willing to overcome the pain that comes with doing dumbass things to your limb.
Here's the interesting part about this, because this kind of touches on in this book. This book actually blew my mind. I was like, this is the coolest book I've read for a long time. But what they do is the thought of actually just cutting it, getting to the point of cutting it off, is very easy for them. You know, it's like they don't really think about it. You know, it's like, yeah, I'll get rid of it, whatever. You know, and but once they start, let's say, sawing something off, when the pain sets in, that's the only time where they're like, I don't know if this is such a good idea. You know,
well, that's another that leads us. That's a good segue into the next thing, which is, we're going to talk about this first. Is the electrical saws and power tools are another way.
Oh, mama.
Yeah. So there's that. So that's that.
Okay.
What? I just don't see
I don't know if you really
I'm
need
like
to.
wondering where you're going with this. All the time,
You
like,
don't need to elaborate. I don't.
electrical saws or power tools. Okay, so what do you do? So do you just like a sawzall? You put like a table saw and you just lay your arm down there and be like, 1, 2, 3, here we go, and just hope it takes?
I think that's what happens. I mean, you're at a garage sale, you know, or an estate sale. You pick up a round table saw for
rusty saw. That's been sitting around since the 50s.
Probably go to the doctor first to get a tetanus shot. You like buy this table saw at a garage sale for $1.50 and just
you're not trying to die.
shoot your arm through it. I don't know.
I don't get what you gotta have the correct arm going through and the other arm like doing the I can't.
Well, how
what
shitty
about
would
a
it be if it was your
person?
right arm, but you were right-handed?
What about a bit? Well, they don't care.
What about that?
What about a BIIDS person with dyslexia? What if they take the wrong part off?
Oh shit! They've got it all labeled
That's a
wrong.
problem.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't imagine doing that. I mean, how drunk do you have to be? But you don't really want to be drunk when you're doing something like that either. So it's kind of a catch-22.
You might cut too far.
Well,
Right? Yeah, there are examples of people who are doing that.
a lot of people. Well,
yeah, and we'll talk about that.
These are the popular methods.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another way of ridding the limb is, and this sounds kind of soaking the limb in dry ice for 6 to 10 hours.
and then what? Breaking it like it's Terminator T-1000?
Oh my god, that's what I thought too. I thought the same thing. Like, it's like, what is that? Like nitrous? So you just dip your hand in it,
Yeah,
and then it
liquid
just
nitrogen
breaks,
is
and
what
then
would
you're
freeze
done.
it, and then you could just break it.
Yes,
But
liquid
you'd like it-
nitrogen. Thank you.
You'd be like, Todd, come over. Why? Because I'm going to film myself punching you with my frozen arm, and it's all just going to shatter.
right.
It'll
and
be so cool.
Tom's
Yeah, that would be
just
kind of
like,
cool, actually.
I'll get the booze. I'll be right over.
Yeah.
I love Terminator. But I guess it's on a lot of chat rooms for BIID. Like BIID they have the little secret forums that they go to and they talk about this stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
they-
my little 2 cents that I'm bringing to this, because I'll have some stories to share pretty soon.
Oh, you will.
Oh,
I'm intrigued.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
What do you think?
really?
I came to this with nothing?
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, I thought that's exactly what you did. So.
Yeah. Do you think I came here with my enemy hand empty? Wrong.
Well, another way is tourniquets. So a garrote, I guess. So you cut off you cut off the blood supply until it's numb enough to cut off, or it's so damaged that the doctors have to remove it. People hope that you can just wrap up your arm and just like hang out with it like that for how long would that take? It seems like it would be extremely difficult.
It's like puppy tails.
What? What?
Okay,
They do that
What?
to puppy?
like
What?
I have a Doberman,
Oh.
and when people, when there's idiot people out there, I don't want people to practice this, but
No. Oh.
there's people who will breed these dogs, don't have a lot of money, and they tie a rubber binder around the tail where they want the tail to fall off, and they tie it super tight, which restricts the blood supply, and after a while the tail falls off and heals.
I hate people
right.
so
I
much.
hate people too. People
Why-
are dipshits. I mean,
God
honestly,
damn it. That seems like
Pisses
a
me
Why
off.
horrible
don't they
thing.
get to have their tails anyway?
because they're a Doberman, and their standard is to have a docked tail. So
Yeah,
they
I like little natural boys and girls.
Well,
I like they
have
can
a
have
docked
ears
tail
and
docked eared Doberman, but that's how I purchased him. But
Yeah.
that's the standard look people want when they get a Doberman.
yeah,
but
min pins too. Yeah.
Most of them, people who breed are reputable. Say the word for me. You know me and my words.
Reputable.
Hey.
Breeder. They bring them to a vet, and the dogs are put under. But some people will just tie off the tail and let it fall off.
God damn it.
And
God
that's
damn.
what's trying to happen here. I was reading about a guy who had done that with, he wanted his leg cut off, and somebody had said, might want to practice with a limb, like a toe.
On somebody else's leg.
Get your kid. Pay for the insurance. No, so that he tied off, like, on his pinky finger, that first phalange, and he tied it off. I think he actually stuck it in dry ice and then hit it with a hammer.
Oh God.
Because
no.
he was trying to do
Jesus
the
Christ.
tourniquet thing, and it just got too painful. So then he's like, I'll just, I read online, let's try the dry ice. So he stuck it in dry ice, for a while, and then hit it with a hammer, broke it up, went to the hospital. He said that he was still numb down to the end of the pinky finger because he really went for it. When the doctor stuck the needle in, because he doesn't tell the truth when he goes. He's like, I was just hammering outside, and I think I fucked my pinky up. And so when he went to the hospital, they don't know he's numb, so they were putting numbing agent into the hole because they're going to remove the finger. He actually pretended he was in pain. He's like, oh, ow, that hurts so much. And then his tissue was so ruined that then they just removed the end of the pinky. And so he's like, now I know how to do my leg.
Oh my God.
I do not use tourniquets.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God. So that's possible with like a whole like leg or arm that you could just tourniquet it for like what do you do it like a couple of days or something?
Do you have to get one of
or-
those like yoga rubber binder things that you work out with?
Oh,
those real thick binders?
Jesus, my
I don't
stomach
know.
is turning.
I think it would be really difficult to cut off the blood supply to your arm.
Apparently, it's extremely painful. Most people cave in quickly. They just say, "I don't know, this isn't for me." But it's like other people, just while it's numb, they just like fuck it, and just saw it off right there and just go for it before it even takes, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what happened with this guy. It was becoming too painful. He came up pretty quick. He gave up pretty quickly. Went for the dry ice, tried that, and was successful.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Although the dry ice sounds horrific to me.
Yeah.
Just say.
Unbiased opinions.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So because there are more. There
Yes.
are more other things. So the next thing is have your limb run over by a train.
That's a terrible idea unless your arm is super long.
Right. So if
There's a little problem with the train.
you gotta get kind of close for that. So the problem is if the train's going too fast, which is pretty ridiculous if the train's going at all. There's 1,000 things that could go wrong here. The train will actually like
It'll flip you. Yeah, it'll flip you right up into it.
suck you under. Yeah.
And then
like
spit you out like 100 feet down
Yep.
the road.
Yep.
Slight-
You look like a penny somebody left on the track.
A little risk of death going on there. So that usually doesn't seem like that's not the smartest move, but I suppose it would get that does the trick, I guess, but it still
has
sounds
worked.
like a bad idea.
I read of stories where it worked. Yeah.
Well, this one is confusing to me because I'm like, how do you do this? You drop a heavy item on your limb. How?
Two people.
How do you do this?
Two people need to be
Well,
involved.
what if you had a pulley?
I mean, you'd have to really come up with something to.
See, when I was thinking about this, I was like imagining, like, let's say Jen wants her left leg gone. So she's like,
Don't want that.
hypothetically,
right,
Jen wants her left leg gone.
Yes.
I'm like the Wile E. Coyote. You know, she's the road runner. I'm up on the top of her apartment building with a big stone.
You got a good relationship with Acme.
Yeah, she's down on the ground, meeping away, and I just roll the stone off. But if it were the cartoon, I'd hit your right leg instead of your left leg. But let's say I hit your left leg, then you sit there for a while because you have to make sure everything's destroyed.
Yeah.
And then you call the hospital and like, oh my God, my friend accidentally rolled a stone onto my leg. Help, help, help. And then the doctor's like, I guess it's, the tissue's destroyed. Remove it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I was wondering. I was just like, okay, so I want my arm removed. What do I just pick up a 500-pound slab of concrete and just slap it over there? It's like,
I know.
There's gotta be another way, like a forklift. I mean, what kind of engineering skills do you need to
Well, I actually read about a guy for this section. Like, a guy dropped two gigantic pieces of concrete or a big piece of concrete on his legs, because he wanted them both gone.
What? Oh, my God.
Yeah, called the hospital, went to the hospital. They're like, I think we could save it.
Oh, no.
And so
And he's like, I don't have insurance.
they're like, just cut it off. Just cut off. I'm fine. They're like, nope, we're going to save your legs. What ended up happening is the legs became totally useless, but they're still attached to him. So now he just really effed it all up because now he has these two limbs that he doesn't want. And now they're not even utilitarian.
You
he can't go
even
to the
use them.
stove. He can't go to the fridge and get a beer with them. You know
Oh
what I
my
mean?
God.
So yeah, he screwed it all up for himself.
Yeah, but now he's just dragging this excess weight that is completely unusable.
Yeah, that's a fucking Twilight Zone
I
episode
know.
right
That
there.
is.
Ooh,
That
look,
is. Yeah.
Black Mirror.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, well, there are other things too. So there are people who remove their eyes or eyesight. I didn't read about anybody like trying to become deaf, but I'm sure they're out there.
Oh, they're out there.
Yeah, someone trying to remove their eyes or eyesight using like drain cleaner or lye in their own eyeballs.
Good times.
Mm.
Good times.
So, which is your favorite, Lisa? which would be your preferred method?
I'd have to go with the train.
You'd go with the train, but you could die.
I'm adventurous.
I feel why the train?
I just think it sounds really cool.
So that would be the cool way to do it.
I like I like the cross between engineering and just kind of steampunkish. I think I'd have to go for a cold train though, like one that's not electric.
Cold train.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
How are you going
right.
to find a cold
Steampunk.
train?
I don't know. At a museum.
And
I don't know.
Appalachia.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and West Virginia.
West Germany.
There's
Or East
there you
Germany.
go.
Eastern
Yep.
Berlin.
Yep. Poland. That's right. That's
there
where
we
Nicole
go.
is right now. Yeah.
My Polak
So,
brothers. I'm coming to
yes.
cut off my limbs.
I would like to. You know what, Acadia? What do you think? Let's go with you. What's your preferred
Well, first,
method?
I want a write-in candidate of somehow catch the attention of Jigsaw so that
Oh, yeah. You're going deep.
you get to do what you want to do and also not die, I guess.
Okay.
Because if the doctor in the first Saw had hated his foot, then the movie would have been like 5 minutes long.
If he took somebody with bits.
I want to play a game. You're going to have to cut your foot. Done.
Wow,
Yep.
yes,
Okay.
It's like excellent.
You picked the right guy.
So I would
will
do
play
that.
this game, no
or
problem.
I would probably try the tourniquet way. This is if I had to do it to myself, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to do it to yourself, which would be the way that you would choose. Let's say there's something
I would do
terribly
tourniquet.
wrong with, let's say you have an arm riddled with cancer, and the only way that you can get rid of that cancer, because it's after the zombie apocalypse, is that you have to remove your arm yourself, or you will die.
Okay. Well, I don't know how I would diagnose myself with arm cancer. But
you're
using
a smart
your
dude.
example, I would hope that it was my right arm so that I could tell people, hey, yeah, no, I told people that I'd give my right arm to be ambidextrous, and now I'm going through with it. But yeah, I definitely do the tourniquet thing, because that seems like something you can, like, come back from. Because you notice no one's like, shove it in lava. Like, no one's doing something that's super painful, or like potato peeler or anything like that.
Put it in a blender.
Yeah, like... It's like, oh, I hate my hand. I guess I'm going to shove it in the garbage disposal. Like, no, I don't think any mental disorder could make you want to do that.
Although, no,
You know
there
what
are
I mean?
guys who actually have dropped cars on themselves.
Yeah, but that's still not sticking your hand in the garbage disposal.
That's true. Maybe some have. I don't know. I didn't read any, though. So.
I mean, maybe it's just the limb's too big. It won't fit in there.
But you'd go tourniquet.
Yeah.
I would go tourniquet because that seems... if I don't have access to a guillotine or can't make one, then yeah, that would be
Yeah,
that.
Guillotine.
Because otherwise, guillotine would be the easiest, because just whack, and you're done.
So then you have a lot of willpower.
Well, I mean...
Because you're going to have to sit around with that thing hurting for a very long time.
Well, yeah, but I'm going under the assumption... Well, no, I mean, if I could, I would do the guillotine thing.
Yeah.
Because I assume you can get one, and it wouldn't, I guess it would depend.
You order a small toy
If
guillotine.
you have to cut your leg off on your humerus, which is like the thickest bone, you'd have to really get that guillotine right.
I'd have a pig eat mine up to where I needed it to stop.
That's
How are
crazy
you
talk,
gonna do
Lisa.
that?
There's no way you would let that pig get... You know what? You'd die. You'd die. That pig would just eat you whole. There's no... You won't do that.
Not if she... No.
You know
Not
about
if she was
that
on a table.
Robert Picton
and,
in Canada that had
No.
the pig
No.
farmer.
I called it.
If you... You could do it, Lisa, if you had a... Pigs in a cage, and you cut a hole in the top of the cage that only the part of your leg that you wanted
Yep.
eaten
And
stuck.
rub
yeah.
honey on my leg or some enticing food.
Sure.
Leg
That
gone.
seems...
I'd take that over the train any day.
Okay, I feel like that would be the most painful way to do it, and I am not down with pain because I would go with the dry ice Terminator style. That's what I do.
Because
I
you
would-
want to be cool.
Yeah, I want to dip it. I want to dip my arm in there, and
Uh-huh.
I want to punch somebody with it. Well, actually, you wouldn't be able to because your arm would be so frozen. I would just like
No, you just have to,
bang
like,
it up
swing it
against
around,
something.
like...
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I just do as I always do. Just walk out on the ice and trip and fall
Yeah.
like I always
Start
do.
flailing.
Yep, and I'll just try to catch myself with my frozen arm, and boom, gone, easy.
No
That
problems.
seems the easiest way. I'd have to just make friends with somebody at the cryogenic lab, so could hook me up with some of that. What is it again? Nitrous? What is it?
Liquid nitrogen.
Liquid
You could go
nitrogen.
to-
That's all I need to do.
Science Museum. Remember they do the bananas?
Oh, that's right.
You'd be like, oops, my arm fell in it.
Oh man.
What do we do now? Where's your hammer?
I will plan a heist. Let's do it. Oh shit.
This isn't a real thing unless some guy wants to cut off his own dick.
This is Ocean's 1.
Like, that would really
Ocean's one
cement
in
it for me.
parentheses. One idiot.
Taking his dick off.
Like, if he was like, I hate my dick. Do you want to be a woman? Negative. Just hate my dick.
I bet
Actually,
you $1.
happens.
Yeah. But bit is a dick thing too. That
Yep.
just I feel like I was
But
born
then-
without a
but
dick.
then-
But I'm not a woman, and
But then but then there's nothing, like, you don't have another one. Like, every other thing we're talking about here is you got another one to make up for it.
Oh,
that's
So unless you're
true,
Two Dick Danny and you hate the...
I've seen that guy, by the way.
right?
He's out there. But there are people who want both limbs gone, or they want both arms gone.
some people want to be handicapped. Like they want to be in a wheelchair.
Oh, I got that.
Yeah.
Don't you worry, Lise.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna just real quick going by. There's chat rooms for these people who suffer with this, and they have these people called gatekeepers, and these are people. They post about knowing somebody in the medical field who will amputate limbs for a fee. So the average starting cost is $25,000. They're mainly offered in other countries outside of like U.S., Canada, and England, outside of kind of Western countries. Most of them are scam artists. It actually sounds like a super duper good scam.
Well, yeah, I was reading about a guy who had met.
know?
Well, gatekeepers. I mean, they have their own slang on these chat rooms.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go on and say things like, I've got a messed up brain. I kind of want to cut somebody's limb off. And someone's like, I got a limb. Like someone will be like, I have this weird fantasy. And then someone will be like, I want my leg cut off. And then they'll like get together and limbs fall off. Yeah. But there's also people like these gatekeepers who will say, I know a guy who will do it for this. Wire the money to my bank account. A lot of these people fall for, I mean, there's quite a few people that fall for it. It's kind of like having the girlfriend, online who's saying, send me all your money so I can get my visa and whatever.
They legitimately got Nigerian princed and they want to cut off their own leg.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They're fucked twice.
Yeah.
And they wow. That person should have just cut off their head.
I still say it's just easier to go to the thrift store and buy a pawn shop, buy some electrical tools and do it yourself.
And then, we refer to the section above this where we talked about here are how the ways to do it yourself.
Buy a pig.
DIY limb removal.
Buy a pig.
So,
they do call it DIY removal.
Yeah. Oh God, I just guessed at that.
So that's a serious word. Like they call it DIY.
There was one dude that got an amputation in Tijuana, I guess, and the man ended up getting gangrene and died. And that doctor actually went to prison for it.
Yep. There's risk there, too. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the infection is no joke.
Because it was amputations and donkey show.
Yeah, right.
So that's...
In the same room.
Yes.
2 headliners tonight.
It's like donkey show, 3:00. Amputations, 3:15.
Right. You get a double feature. There was actually a study done in Amsterdam of 7 amputees that said that their BIID symptoms had vanished after surgery. They said that they finally felt like whole, regular people. Like number one, it's strange that there's been a study done, and it happened to be in Amsterdam, but it's only 7 people.
Yep.
That they could find.
Yep.
And they said they just absolutely, after this was done, they were healed. They were cured.
Well, like you were talking about earlier.
Felt fine.
Cured. Done.
Cured. That's it.
Gotta go back to work on Monday.
I have this disease, and there's only one cure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's therapy isn't cutting it. Medication isn't cutting it. There's remove the limb, you're good.
Mm-hmm. They actually liken this more to transgender than they do to, like, let's say, anorexia.
That's interesting, too, because then you look at being transgender in a whole new light, too.
Correct. You are who you are. You are what your brain says you are.
Your brain is mapped in a certain way, and that is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't want anybody out there that thinks this is an excuse that you can treat transgender people like people that want to cut off their own arms. Don't.
Right.
Because that's not a...
No, I don't
compare
mean
it that way. It goes No, I know you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that people will be, it's like cutting off your own arm, Lisa said.
No.
And don't. It's the other way around.
No.
We're trying to say that your brain has
it's
told
valid
you who you
because
are.
it's like
Yeah.
transgender.
Right.
I'm with you.
Yeah. This is who you are. This is how you're mapped. That's who you are. And
so people need to accept it.
There are treatments and cures for this.
Mm-hmm.
For that is just people definitely need to accept it, because
get over yourself, other people.
What we're going to talk about is somebody who did receive a treatment, and her name is Jewel. She is 30 years old, and she had a need to remove her eyes.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I think she's on YouTube. I think she was on Vice, maybe. So do we have links on the website? You could go and look at all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother, when she was a kid, her mother said, don't stare into the sun or you're going to go blind. And she said she would purposely spend hours staring at the sun.
This is where you realize you have a problem.
Well, if that was true,
like
then
6.
she would be blind.
But she
yeah,
didn't.
but then you'd be blind.
Well, apparently she
That's
didn't.
old wives' tale, staring at the
Maybe
sun.
she was a kid and didn't know.
You
Go
injure
stare
your
at an
eyes,
eclipse
sure.
and see what happens.
You could definitely injure your eyes, but you're not necessarily going to go blind. But
I think you could burn
over
out your retinas.
over many, many years. Yes,
It's
absolutely.
time for the Yikes Murder and Stuff challenge.
Right. don't do it, kids. Don't try this at home.
Do not go on YouTube.
Please don't. We don't want want to get arrested. Or don't do this.
She's out like at those, what are those, the clips is like, it's gonna happen today.
Yeah, today's the day.
Yeah, no, she was, but she
She's like
she lived in
President
London,
Trump
that's so it didn't.
looking into the eclipse.
Right.
But it didn't work for her, and it didn't work for Trump either. So, they both buck in the system, and they're both fine. But she says basically when she was like 6 years old, she remembered like thinking about being blind just made her feel good. So she started like kind of living her life with like sunglasses on all the time, and she was, okay, this is a word, blind simming, right? Where she simulates being blind, and they call it blind simming. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I looked up into it. I went to weird places on the internet that I was like,
Yeah.
some of this does sound sexy.
This is more slang from the chat rooms.
There's definitely some sexy things going on there, and I'm like, blindfolds, hey? Sounds interesting, but not to the point of living your life as a blind person.
Well, she also said like she would get up in the middle of the night because she knew her parents were sleeping and the house was dark, and she'd walk around the house not being able to see and practice being blind.
She says that she was blind simming, which is pretending to be blind, but the idea kept coming up in her head. By the time she was 21, it was like a nonstop alarm that was going off in her head that she just could not get over having eyesight. So she's seeing the psychologist, so she must have been seeing the psychologist for a long time, decides to help her and puts numbing drops in her eyes and then a couple of drops of drain cleaner. Who's this psychologist? This seems to be a terrible idea.
That's a crime.
That seems like a crime. Yeah.
Is that Dr.
It's like
Kevorkian?
right? Of the eyeballs?
Yeah, the eyeballs. Yeah.
I guess you gotta weigh
I thought you were going to say
risk and
he
harm.
told her to join a Three Stooges group and let Mo give you the double doink in both eyes.
over and over till it takes. But she says she did get the. She says it really hurt.
Shocker.
Yeah, it hurt. Let me tell you, my eyes were screaming, and I had some drain cleaner going down my cheek, burning my skin. But all she could think of was, I'm going to go blind. It's going to be okay. Well, next morning, she wakes up and she can see the TV at her, but she's like, fuck. I can
Yeah, she
still
like
see.
turns the TV on. It's like, damn you, Oprah. I can
Yeah.
see your hair.
Right.
I can see your lovely curls.
And so she's upset about this, but slowly over the next 6 months, her eyesight disappears. So her left eye completely collapsed and needed to be removal.
Oh, there's a
and-
little more to, like when she went to the doctor after she could see, they're like, again, it's another one of the, we could save him. And she's like, son of a bitch.
Oh,
And so
God.
here they're doing all these surgeries trying to save him and all this laser work. And then she goes back and the doctor's like, oh, your left eye collapsed. We'll remove it. And she's like, 50% there.
Okay, right
She's like,
on.
yes. And then she goes back for I think it was a little longer down the road where she went back and they found the glaucoma and web scarring. So there must have been some.
Yeah, like the scars were like webbing over her cataracts of her eyes. So, yeah. So,
No, thank
she's-
you.
did eventually go completely blind.
Yeah.
Again, who is this psychologist?
There's
I mean,
a
this
huge
person-
debate about.
It's like Dr. Nick from The Simpsons. Hi, everybody.
yeah, Dr. Nick. But I mean, there's a risk harm factor there too. That is it riskier to help her get rid of her sight, or is she going to kill herself eventually because she can't do it on her own? Or if she does, she could hurt herself and injure herself and end up killing herself. So I don't even know how you could come to that conclusion, but apparently it was that dramatic, right?
No, I think the main kind of debate is back to the mole. I can go to the doctor and have him cut off a mole because no one cares, But people
Right.
seem to get really attached to other people's, like, you gotta keep your limbs. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know why people get so attached
Those
about other
dummies.
people's stuff. Just let them do their stuff. Let
I
them
don't
go to the
know.
hospital
I
and
don't
get it
know if-
removed. Whatever.
If Terry Fox, that guy that ran across Canada with one leg, saw somebody wanting to cut off their leg, he'd probably be pissed.
That's where the other problem comes in.
That's it. There was a commenter on a YouTube that Jewel was in that was at the very top of the comments that was like, I've spent my entire life wanting to see is I have been blind since I was a very young child, and this is an offense to me. This is an affront to my entire struggle, my whole life. I would love to be able to see. And
well,
she actually
maybe
wasn't.
you should have found me, and I would have given you my eyeballs. So whatever, Jack.
Well, but she was actually engaged to a blind man.
Yeah.
What's
He was
interesting?
naturally blind.
He didn't do the drain clear. He had something wrong with his eyes. But
He didn't do the drain.
yeah,
He was just by the grace of God, just blessed with blindness. Yeah.
there are people who have had like hand transplants, and so it's like your map has now said your hand's gone. You know what I mean? And then somebody lops one back on there. Some people get stressed out when you put a new limb on. It's like you don't recognize that as your hand.
Oh yeah. There's a guy who's like there's a guy out there who's consistently saying, who had the hand transplant, who's just like, get this fucking thing off me. I would rather not have his mind has not mapped to his new hand, and he just doesn't want it. It doesn't, and it's a horrible upkeep. And he has to take these anti-rejection pills every day, and
like you're tending a lawn.
yeah, but seriously, like he can't even move it. He's practically useless. It's basically just a dead man's hand on his arm, and he's fucking hates it. And he's like, I want it off. I don't want this anymore.
I think, maybe like it's like those movies you see where someone gets their hearing back, because of some sort of whatever. And if you've lived long enough without hearing and you've adjusted to your life, sometimes that isn't as fun as you really think it's going to be.
No, it's probably extremely frightening.
Well, think about all those noises you have to hear when you're not used to hearing anything.
Right. Yeah.
But, whatever.
You'd be like Superman in the beginning of Superman when he hears everybody and freaks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this feels like, I mean, it's easy to go, you ungrateful fuckers, there's a bunch of people that would love to have your eyeballs
lived
or whatever.
without anything.
And Jewel would have just been like, have them, come over today and get them.
It's easy to be judgmental, isn't it?
Well,
when you're standing on the sidelines.
I think the thing of it is, for me, it's, okay, if you're thinking about, hey, listen, you're shitting on me, I'm blind and wish I was sighted. Okay, that's a handicap. Mm-hmm. My mental disorder is a handicap that will be cured if I poke my eye out. That's like equal. You know what I mean? Because it's not, if it was like plastic surgery where they were like, oh, well, I'm glad you cut off my arm, but now I need to cut off my other arm. And it just kept escalating.
Yeah, this isn't like tattoos.
Like, all right, well, yeah.
Like I got addicted to tattooing,
This is something that, as soon as you said, no, they're fixed after they lose whatever the part was, my attitude about it changed because, they weren't lying.
They're not.
You know what I mean? Like
they're not coming back saying, okay, now cut off the other hand.
Right. I looked at, no, do you have any other examples of
We do, right. And I wanted to add this in that Jewel's family is not supportive of her at all. She's lost her mother and her sister since they learned that her blindness was not an accident.
Did she, or are they just right there and she doesn't know it because they're being quiet?
They're not actually there because she can't see them.
That's right.
Well, no, let's play a decade-long prank on Jewel.
Yeah. Right. Let's just sneak around.
Quick, move her chair over a half inch.
Right. Well, I think they're just more like, your mother has you and you're born this perfect baby. You've got 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes. No, she's perfect, and then your baby is actually born not perfect. Where you're,
what's wrong with you, Jewel? I'm doomsday prepping for Bird Box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. The memes are great. But yeah, so that she's lost her family, but her ex-fiance is still very supportive of her. And she actually has support in the blind community. So
wait a minute. Why is he the ex-fiance?
I did not get into that. It's none of my business.
Maybe
I don't
he wanted a
about...
seen woman.
Well, I want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted a woman who could see.
You'll have to do your own research.
Yeah, maybe.
Reach out to her, I guess.
He wanted me. You were my eye beard. I just needed you to help me get around the mall.
Well, it's like
now you're useless.
Yeah, it's like emotional support pets.
Right?
Now she's not. Wonder if she was emotional support pet, if she'd get on a plane for free. Or if she was wearing her vest.
I guess her emotional support animal would have to be a bat.
Or a dolphin.
Like, you just walk around clicking and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever heard about that kid who's blind who clicks?
Yes.
We got,
yes.
Anyways.
Yep. He rides bicycles,
Look him up.
yeah. Yep.
Look him up.
Okay.
He's
Yep.
cool.
All right. Well, we're
Okay.
way off track.
Okay.
So they still have two other people to talk about here. So we're going to move on to a man called Dave. Also on the YouTubes.
He's in the book, too.
Link in the show notes. He's in the book, too. Oh, cool. Well, he wanted his leg cut off. And he reached out to the secret unnamed doctor from Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he tried to use a tourniquet, and the pain was too much, so he gave up after a couple hours. I was like, sounds not good. Does not sound fun. He would definitely not have liked the pig idea.
No, I'm obsessed now with this pig idea. I think it's a great idea.
Well, I'm glad I want to keep my limb, so I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, true.
So after reaching out to the doctor from Asia and he didn't hear back, so Dave was so desperate that he went out and got a barrel and some dry ice.
Yep.
And he had some plans to soak his leg. Before he got around to the leg soaking, the doctor from Asia
Soak my cork.
called him back. So yeah, he's basically got like a shit ton of dry ice and a barrel sitting around. So he's all on the chat room. And he is just like, so if anybody wants some unused barrel dry ice, come get it. There's free stuff Craigslist for the BIID people.
If you have a band or are planning a haunted house, I have a deal for you.
I'm your guy.
Yeah, so the guy from Asia contacted him, so he got the gatekeeper actually worked for him, and they went through the surgery, and he couldn't be happier. He is a happy camper. Everything's great. His life is wonderful. He has no leg, and things are good. His name is Dave. We don't know if that's his real name.
Oh,
but
you know what? I think Dave is the one who actually at Halloween, because he has a family. Like at Halloween, they hang little skeletons around the house, but they rip one of the legs off.
What? So good.
And he's always a pirate.
Yeah.
Oh, he's always a peg leg.
No, and then like his kids before he had the surgery got a Ken doll and like took the leg off, cut the leg off in the right spot. And that's a happy. You're
Well,
going to
see,
be
good
healthy.
for
Dad.
Dave.
Being supportive. That's
Yeah.
awesome. He's got a really supportive family. That's amazing too, because it's a real deal. There's no joke about it.
No,
So-
it's rough for these people.
We'll save the best for last. We got old Jason here.
The cool kid.
The cool kid.
Yep.
Younger guy.
Yep.
So he had wanted to remove his hand since he was a tiny child. This is the quote that I like to read, or I would like to read you, called, "After some dramatic failures, I found a power tool, and that did the deed totally and almost instantly, which was cool, because I knew that if it took too long, my fast reactions would make me want to pull back and fail." So there's no trauma here. This guy is not avoiding shit. He is just like all about it. He's like, guys, get a power tool. This is how you do it. It's awesome. Super fast.
It works.
Again, did he lay his arm out on and just wham, just go really fast? But it's like, but he says he just doesn't think about being two-handed anymore.
Well, but what I find strange is that he also now he has a hook.
He's got a hook?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So you cut the limb off, but you replace it. I thought the idea is for it not to be there.
Are you just mapped for a hook then? I mean, is that just...
No, because I think then it's not his arm running it. Because it's his enemy arm.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
just
Could
put
I
a
get a
hook
little dollop of metal and put it underneath my lip and it'd be my new mole?
there? Yeah. Right.
But it would be okay
Yes.
because it's metal and bionic.
You could just draw it on and be like a supermodel.
That's true. Good point. It could be the Cindy Crawford of moles.
The Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He lives a stress-free life without the hand. He's just like,
He's doing good.
Huh. Here's something that he said, though. He says he sometimes wonders where the hand ended up. What?
Where do they
Wouldn't
go?
you know? You cut it off.
What'd you do?
What'd you
Chuck
do
it
with
into
it?
the woods?
That's
It's just-
Can
Jason?
you imagine?
The dog came up, ran up and grabbed it and ran away. I'm like, oh, where'd that
Where'd
dog
that hand go? Or
take that
the
hand
neighbor's
to?
dog brings it in through the dog door into their kitchen, and it's like, look what I found, folks.
Oh my God,
Or
he dropped it, he put it in a little basket and left it at the fire station.
So, people come and
well,
adopt
what do they
it.
do with them? Do they put them in incinerators, or what's the end game there?
I don't know. I'd just bury mine.
I'd probably, but you got to be accountable for not, or do you? I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I'd probably bury mine too.
Yep, they like that be the best thing.
I put it in cement.
I'd pickle that shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because if it was my enemy, I would want to
keep your eye on it.
display it.
Oh, like in your trophy room?
I defeated my own enemy.
Get it taxidermied and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Yes. Dip it in epoxy and just hang it on the wall. Oh my God.
So now I have questions.
Okay.
Shoot.
And
we have all the
I
answers.
solved it.
Because we're the
Okay.
smartest people in the world.
Right.
I think that so I was looking into it, and it's like you alluded to, Lisa. It's not just I've got a limb and I don't want it. It's I can do things that I don't want to be able to do, because I found one guy that said, I'm 37 years old, and ever since I can remember, I was fascinated with the thought of not being able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I watched children's TV shows like Heidi, and there's a girl in a wheelchair, and I wanted to be like her. It's not about getting attention. It's more like an inner need. I never told anyone. I had therapy for a long time due to depression and anxiety, and when I tried to talk to the therapist about this need, he just told me to stop being an idiot.
Oh my God.
Well, which is kind of the opposite
That's some good therapy.
of the people that were like, oh, well, then I'll help you. So she said, I've got a perfectly functioning marriage, a well-paying job. I've got a great life, but I wish I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And once I had an operation on my foot, I had to use a wheelchair for a few weeks, and it was awesome, but I had to pretend that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have kept the chair. So now she just writes about, like, not being able to walk.
Isn't this... this lady's from England, isn't she?
The thing I read, it didn't say.
Okay.
But people were like, yeah, it sucks not, trying to explain it to people or whatever like that. And they actually suggested find a therapist that talks about helps transgender people, because it's along the same lines.
Oh.
But then they were also talking about it from since I am not as cool as Jason or as desperate as Jewel, and I don't have money like Dave. By the way, Dave, I would have gone to India, because if you go to India, then you get, like, they have hospital suites now that are like 5-star hotels to get plastic surgery in, and it's like you have a spa week and you get your plastic surgery,
Lisa,
and because like everything there costs like a fucking penny. So you go there, and it's basically, it's like if you could go to the swankiest hotel you've ever heard of and get plastic surgery at the same time. And it's all super cheap because it's
I need that in my life.
Yeah, let's do this.
So this person was like, hey, I wish I couldn't walk, and I can't cut my legs off because the man won't let me. I got weighted blankets and throw them over my legs all the time, so it's harder to move them, and it makes me feel better.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if she won the lottery, that wouldn't be enough for her. She'd probably go to
no. But I mean, you got to have interim steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's well, while I wait to have the surgery, I got to do whatever.
Yeah.
So that I thought was kind of interesting. That just do something so that you can't actually do anything with your legs. Because this idea of wanting to be paralyzed, like, this transcends I want a debilitating but non-crippling injury to happen to me on the job, so I still get paid but don't have to go to work but can still play PlayStation,
Right.
Which I think is the new American dream.
It is.
It's my dream for sure. Yeah, that would be great. But I don't want the injury part of it. That's the thing. I just want somebody to give me
that's
money
the
for
thing.
not
It's
doing anything.
debilitating but non-crippling, so it'll go away eventually.
The
You know what I
bids
mean?
won't
Yeah,
go
yeah.
away.
No, bids
No.
won't. But I mean, in this instance, if it's foreign, if they don't think it's theirs,
Right.
my big takeaway from it's a real thing. It's caused by things getting fucked up during the reincarnation process so that you get somebody else's limb. Like, remember, like, if you messed up the transporters in Star Trek, it would, like, smush you together and make a thing?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Don't put a human and a fly in the transporter.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's like Brundlefly, but
Yes.
instead what happens is when you get reincarnated, it fucks up and you get somebody else's whatever,
Yep.
arm or leg or whatever like that, and that's what causes this. That's why it's so rare.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they kind of have their shit together in the reincarnation factory or whatever. So that's how it's solved. But now I'm interested in if a guy or a gal, I guess, has an enemy hand, did they ever give themselves the stranger with it? Do you know what the stranger
know.
is?
Yes, I know what the stranger
So,
is.
Lisa,
Of
the
course you
stranger
do.
is if you sit on your hand until it falls asleep,
masturbation.
and then you...
Yeah. Okay, I know now.
And then you rough up the suspect, but it feels like somebody else is doing it because your hand's asleep. So if you have an enemy hand, I wonder if that would work.
Well, you still have feelings to it, though. You still have sensation in it.
Yeah, I know, but you don't think it's yours.
Yeah, but you don't want to take a chance either and have
Oh,
the
good
whole
point.
have an Evil Dead situation going on
It's
too.
not
you
your
know?
real enemy, though. That's the thing. It's on your side.
Yeah. Well, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh.
I see.
So what you're saying
It's not like
is this helps with masturbation. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not like you got it's somebody else is doing it. It's not like you got a new arm and it was like Hitler's arm and all of a sudden you were like doing fucking Heil Hitler all the time because you couldn't stop it because you had a possessed murder arm.
Because maybe you could just have a relationship with it. You could just be like, look, I don't want to be here. You don't want to be here, but we got to make this work.
You're dressing it up and naming it. And
You're putting lipstick on it, making it talk to you like like South Park.
Hello.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a couple of questions to ask here with I mean, there's so many questions to ask here, but I mean, there are a lot of like, what about people who are like injured in the war and they have a leg removed? Is there a possibility that you can pair up a person that has BIID and pair up a person who would like to have a replacement limb? Is that a possibility to be more experimental where you don't have to rely on deceased donors? Oh, you know what? Actually, this year, I was listening to Science Friday the other day, and they had a person who used a deceased donor's uterus in order to have a child.
holy fuck balls.
They had a child, a viable gestation,
So
and
is
the
it,
child
whose egg is
fine.
it?
So the doctor and everybody went to the cemetery to deliver the baby? That's fucked up.
Well, it was the uterus was implanted, and then when she had the child, they took the uterus out because they didn't need the uterus anymore. So there was no reason for the uterus to be there because the uterus was just
That's a lot of work.
into
How about
the
adopt
woman
a kid?
while the woman had the child, and then after that the child was removed. The uterus is also removed.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, they got the right seed and they got the right egg and the uterus that worked did not belong to the woman. So it was quite a breakthrough. But they did mention a little bit about why not with living donors.
Why didn't you get a surrogate?
Well, I think part of it is cost because then if they're dead, then you can just go, oh, you can just get whatever you need with like a can
call
opener.
dibs on the
But
uterus.
if the person's alive, then you have to do a whole big surgery.
Well, there's a
and whatever.
negotiation involved.
Sure.
And you have to deal with somebody else's feelings. If someone's dead, you just take their uterus and grow a baby and throw that thing away in the recycle bin when you're done.
Right. And that there's
The baby?
No.
yeah, it's literally throwing the baby out with
the trash?
Look at
with
what
the
I've
uterus.
wasted.
Well, we did it. Throw it away. Start again. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our BIID show. So we'd like to thank the Bad Man for doing our theme music. Go visit them at thebadmanusa.com. Go see them for a live
Bad
show.
Man.
They're so great. Acadia, do you have anything you'd like to plug today?
Yeah, the same thing. Go to superficialgallery.com. because we do a whole bunch of stuff. Or follow me at Acadia on Twitter, or go to strangefulthings.com, or come to my fucking house. I don't care.
You can go to the dump with you. Go visit
All
the
of a
dump.
sudden, a guy with one leg comes rolling up to your house. How dare you say that about me?
I would run, dude. That dude has been practicing.
Well, you can outrun him for sure. If he has one leg, he could totally outrun him.
I don't know. He's been practicing being one-legged for his whole life, so don't.
True.
Don't discount.
That's
don't
true.
discount
Good
the
point.
one-legged dude. Because I have not exercised for a while, so got me. I mean, I like my legs, and I definitely don't use them like I should. So yeah, we go to our Patreon, please. It's in our Twitter. Just search us out on Patreon. Yikes, murder and stuff, and give us some money if you'd like, because we would love to be able to do this easier. Right now, we all have real money jobs, and we are all very, very tired and stressed out. Yeah, but soon you will have to.
I actually don't, asshole.
Well, we're trying very, very hard to kind of make this thing go, and to be able to do this every single week, and to give you 45 minutes to an hour's worth of content. We will give you extra content. We have some sweet, sweet swag that's coming, and of course, if you are the smallest donor on our tier, then we'll give you our episodes one day in advance. Yay. Which is pretty good, because it's been a challenge just to get it out the 7 days. We
want to put ourselves under more pressure.
We're going to give ourselves more pressure, because we would really love to do this for our all-time jobs all the time. So, and we'd also like to get better at it and get better equipment and, the whole spiel. But if you have it, please do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Lisa, do you have anything to plug?
I would like 20 followers on my Twitter. I don't even know what my Twitter name is. That's how little I know.
Sweatshirt Lisa. I got you. She'll hashtag whatever you tell her to. She'll say Lisa hashtag this, and she'll do it.
I do, because I have no clue what they mean.
Yep.
I'm Polish. I'm Polish.
We love you all for listening. Thank you so much. I don't know. I think we're supposed to do a commercial or something at the end here, but we still don't have a catchphrase. I still think we should go on a toot, but that's just me.
I just like saying thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. But hopefully we'll see you again next week, and later.
Bye.
I don't even know how to end this thing.
We need a catchphrase.
This is the equivalent of like saying goodbye to someone and then meeting them at the elevator so that you have to say goodbye again.